Point Pleasant, West Virginia, November 15th, 1966. Two young couples were driving down a dark road outside of town. As they passed by an old building, they were startled by a frightening sight.
For as long as people have looked up at the stars, they've claimed to see things that defy explanation. While the term UFO didn't exist before the 20th century, reports of mysterious lights, flying objects, and strange phenomena in the sky go back thousands of years. Ancient texts are filled with stories of unearthly visitors and otherworldly encounters. But were these simply misinterpretations of natural events, or do they hint at something more? 1. The Shuma'alu cuneiform tablets. The Shuma'alu cuneiform tablets from ancient Mesopotamia might look like just another pile of old clay slabs, but they hold some of the most intriguing sky-watching notes in history. Written over 3,000 years ago, these tablets are basically the ancient world's version of an unexplained aerial phenomena notebook. The Mesopotamians didn't have telescopes, but they sure kept their eyes on the skies. The tablets detail bizarre sights like odd shapes in the air, mysterious lights, and what they called black meteors crashing down. These weren't just weather updates. They believed these phenomena were divine warnings or signs of big shakeups on Earth. Think of it as ancient headline news, where a meteor might predict the fall of a king or a city's doom. Of course, back then, people weren't thinking about aliens or advanced tech. Everything was a message from the gods. To them, the sky was a divine billboard full of cryptic messages, and it was their job to figure out what the gods were trying to say. Modern researchers get a thrill from trying to decode these records, even if the Mesopotamians weren't exactly documenting close encounters of the third kind. Here's the twist. As interesting as these stories are, they don't come with detailed illustrations or the ancient equivalent of eyewitness sketches. That leaves a lot of room for interpretation and imagination. Historians like Chris Albeck point out that while these accounts don't prove alien visits, they do show humanity's obsession with figuring out the weird stuff we see in the sky. In the end, the Shuma'alu tablets remind us that humans have always been curious about what's out there, and it's only gotten more interesting with time. Second, Roswell. While the history of alien sightings goes all the way back to ancient times, the real hype of aliens began in Roswell, New Mexico, in July of 1947. It was when something crashed near a ranch outside of town, forever etching the name Roswell into pop culture and conspiracy lore. Rancher Mac Brazel stumbled upon some strange debris while tending his land. Among the wreckage were odd, lightweight metallic materials, sticks, and some rubbery pieces that didn't quite fit with anything ordinary. Baffled by what he'd found, Brazel reported it to local authorities. Before long, the military got involved and the story took a turn. At first, the U.S. Army issued an actual press release claiming they had recovered a flying disc. Naturally, this created a media frenzy, but the excitement didn't last long. The very next day, the military changed its story, stating it was nothing more than a weather balloon. The quick backpedaling struck many as suspicious, and whispers of a cover-up began spreading almost immediately. Over the years, eyewitness accounts added fuel to the fire. Some people claimed they saw the bodies of alien beings being whisked away by government officials. Others alleged the wreckage was transported to a secure location for study, possibly even Area 51. These theories gained serious traction during the 1970s and 80s, when UFO sightings became a cultural phenomenon. Documents declassified later pointed to Project Mogul, a highly classified military program that used high-altitude balloons to detect Soviet nuclear tests. However, for UFO enthusiasts, the idea of secret alien autopsies proved far more intriguing. Today, Roswell is a mecca for UFO believers and skeptics alike. The town leans into its extraterrestrial reputation with gusto. Museums showcase the events, alien statues greet you at every corner, and the annual UFO festival brings in thousands who share a fascination with the unknown. Was it an alien crash, Cold War tech, or something else entirely? That's something we might never actually get an answer for. 3. The Mothman. Point Pleasant, West Virginia may seem like your typical small town, but in the 1960s it became ground zero for one of the most bizarre legends in American history, the Mothman. It all started on a chilly November night in 1966, when two young couples claimed to see a creature unlike anything they'd ever encountered. What they described was straight out of a nightmare: red glowing eyes, a wingspan over 10 feet wide, and a chillingly humanoid figure lurking in the shadows. The couples, driving near an abandoned World War II munitions site nicknamed the TNT area, reported that the creature chased their car at speeds of over 100 miles per hour before vanishing. Local newspapers quickly picked up the story, dubbing the creature the Mothman, and it wasn't long before others came forward with similar tales. Over the following year, dozens of sightings poured in, all describing the same eerie figure with burning red eyes. The timing made people nervous. Pleasant residents started connecting the sightings to strange happenings around town, including reports of electrical interference, buzzing noises, and even visits from mysterious men in black, who warned locals to stay quiet. It all culminated in tragedy. On December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge, an essential crossing over the Ohio River, collapsed during rush hour, claiming 46 lives. Many believe the Mothman sightings were a warning, connecting the creature to the disaster in a way that only deepened the mystery. Skeptics, of course, have tried to explain the phenomenon with more grounded theories. Some believe the Mothman was just a case of misidentification, likely a large bird such as a sandhill crane or barn owl. Others chalk the sightings up to hysteria or the power of suggestion. But for those who saw the Mothman, no rational explanation could match what they experienced firsthand. Decades later, Point Pleasant has embraced its spooky legacy, turning it into a central piece of the town's identity. The annual Mothman Festival draws thousands of curious visitors, and there's even a gleaming metal statue of the creature in the town center, complete with bulging red eyes. Was the Mothman a real harbinger of doom, a figment of collective imagination, or just an unlucky bird mistaken for something sinister? That's something the world doesn't have confirmation about. 4. The Flatwoods Monster. Flatwoods, West Virginia may not be a household name, but for anyone who knows their UFO lore, it's the birthplace of the Flatwoods Monster. On the evening of September 12, 1952, a group of boys witnessed something out of this world, and what they saw is still debated today. It all started when a bright light tore through the sky and appeared to crash into a nearby hill. 17-year-old Edward May and his younger brother, along with some friends, decided to investigate. Armed with youthful curiosity, they climbed toward the landing site, not knowing what awaited them. As they reached the hilltop, they were greeted by an eerie glow, a strange metallic object illuminating the night. But the glowing craft wasn't the most unsettling thing. Standing near it was a creature, one so terrifying they couldn't even scream. The group described it as towering at 10 feet tall, with a round head, piercing glowing eyes, and a green metallic body. To make things stranger, it looked like it was wearing a flowing dark outfit, giving it an almost ghostly appearance. As the boys stared, the air around the creature became heavy, filled with a strange mist that reportedly made some of them feel nauseous. That was enough for the group. They didn't stick around to ask questions. Instead, they ran back to town, hearts pounding with fear. Word spread fast in Flatwoods. Locals were on edge, with many wondering if something extraterrestrial had landed in their quiet town. Investigators, both amateur and professional, descended on the site, but no trace of the creature or its glowing craft was ever discovered. Some suggested the boys might have mistaken an owl perched in a tree or a meteor for something extraordinary. Others speculated that the Flatwoods Monster wasn't just an alien, but a being using advanced cloaking technology to vanish into thin air. Despite the lack of evidence, the Flatwoods Monster legend took off. Today, it's a cornerstone of the town's identity, with a museum, merchandise, and even a festival dedicated to the infamous sighting. Was it an alien visitor, a product of youthful imagination, or just a perfect storm of coincidences? Aliens in Ilha do Mel. In January 2024, a quiet family hike on Ilha do Mel, a picturesque island in Brazil, turned into an encounter straight out of a sci-fi movie. Eyewitness Sarah Dillette recounted a baffling sighting that left her and her family questioning everything. While standing on a trail, they noticed towering, motionless figures on a distant hilltop. Sarah described the beings as standing around 10 feet tall, their height and presence immediately striking. When the figures moved, they did so with incredible speed, far beyond anything humanly possible. The family tried to approach, hoping to get a clearer view, but the terrain proved impossible to navigate quickly enough. Any attempt to communicate was met with silence as the enigmatic beings seemed untouchable. While this all sounds hard to believe, Sarah and her family remained steadfast in their account, insisting they know what they saw. Word of the sighting spread across local communities and quickly gained attention beyond Ilha de Mel. Many were captivated by the strange encounter, wondering what it could mean. However, the official response from authorities did little to clarify the situation. A representative for Paraná State made a casual, almost humorous comment. "Our summer is from another world. Even strange beings come here to enjoy our coastline." While playful on the surface, this response left others speculating if it was an intentional attempt to downplay the bizarre sighting, or divert attention away from it altogether. Without any photos or physical evidence to confirm the incident, the event remains a mystery. Was it a trick of the eye, a unique atmospheric illusion, or something more extraordinary? Ilha de Mel's reputation as a scenic paradise now carries an air of intrigue, with some visitors hoping to see more than just the stunning landscapes. 6. Green Fireball. The green fireball sightings, which started in the late 1940s, still have UFO enthusiasts buzzing with speculation. These glowing green orbs would streak across the sky, zipping along at incredible speeds in a manner unlike anything witnessed before. They had a unique, bright green hue that made them stand out, and their flight paths were flat. Unlike traditional meteorites, which have a more curved trajectory. Even stranger was how often they appeared, almost as if they followed some kind of pattern. The sightings were concentrated near U.S. military sites in New Mexico, including the Los Alamos area, home to highly classified work like nuclear research. It didn't take long for the military to take notice and initiate investigations. The Los Alamos Scientific Laboratory stepped in to explore the phenomenon, hoping to identify whether the fireballs were just some rare atmospheric anomaly like ball lightning or something else entirely. However, despite their efforts, explanations like meteors or other natural phenomena didn't quite hold up, especially given how frequent and precise the sightings seemed to be. Even more intriguing were the ideas proposed by UFO researchers. Some believed the fireballs weren't random natural events at all, but perhaps spacecraft, alien visitors observing Earth. Given the rise in nuclear testing and military activity at the time, it was speculated that extraterrestrials could be keeping tabs on our planet, especially since the object's behavior didn't fit with known natural events. Despite several investigations and reports, the exact origin and nature of the green fireballs remain a mystery. While some argue they could be natural, unrecognized atmospheric phenomena, others are convinced that the consistency and oddness of their flight patterns point to something beyond conventional explanation. Whatever the truth is, the green fireballs left an undeniable mark, raising questions about what might be out there and whether we're alone in the cosmos. Tic-tac. TOW UFO. In November 2004, Navy pilots aboard the USS Princeton thought they were gearing up for an ordinary day. Little did they know they were about to stumble into one of the most baffling UFO encounters ever recorded. What started as a routine operation turned into a jaw-dropping series of events when radar systems picked up an unusual object zipping through the skies. And when the pilots got eyes on it, things got even stranger. The mysterious object was white, about the size of a jet, and had a smooth, elongated shape. But it wasn't its appearance that left everyone confused. It was how it moved. This thing didn't just fly. It performed maneuvers that should have been impossible. It darted, hovered, dropped, and accelerated at speeds so extraordinary, it looked like the laws of physics didn't apply. One pilot famously described it as looking like a tic-tac in the sky. But what it could do made even the most advanced fighter jets look like toys. Adding to the mystery, the USS Princeton's advanced radar and the pilot's infrared cameras both captured the encounter. These were high-tech systems designed to track the best aircraft humanity has to offer. And yet, they were stumped. The instruments couldn't explain the bizarre movement or speed of the object, making it clear this was no ordinary drone or plane. Even more unsettling was how this object seemed to anticipate the pilot's movements, almost like it was toying with them before vanishing in the blink of an eye. Naturally, the pilots were shaken. They filed detailed reports, confident they had witnessed something otherworldly. But when their accounts reached higher-ups, the response was less than enthusiastic. Despite the radar data, infrared footage, and pilot testimonies, the incident was downplayed, with skeptics dismissing it as a glitch or optical illusion. But let's be real, how many glitches can outperform the fastest jets on Earth and vanish without a trace? Years later, the Pentagon confirmed the incident, calling it part of their investigation into unidentified aerial phenomena. But answers have been scarce, leaving many to wonder. Was the truth buried to avoid public panic? Or did someone decide the world wasn't ready to know what's really out there? 8. Las Vegas aliens. In May 2023, one of the most captivating and unsettling UFO sightings in recent years unfolded in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada. The event took place in the Silverado Ranch neighborhood, and it involved a series of strange occurrences that have had the world asking questions ever since. Everything began when multiple residents in the area reported seeing a large, bright object that appeared to fall from the sky and crash into a backyard. What was initially thought to be a meteor, or some sort of military test, turned into something far stranger once witnesses began describing what happened next. After the object hit the ground, witnesses reported seeing two beings exit the wreckage. Descriptions of the figures quickly caught the attention of UFO enthusiasts and skeptics alike. They were described as having large, almond-shaped eyes, slender bodies, and features that were distinctly non-human. These beings moved around the crash site in a manner that seemed almost deliberate, observing the surroundings as though they were aware of the people watching from a distance. Some witnesses claimed to have even seen them communicating or interacting with each other, though no one could explain how. Terrified by what they were seeing, a family who lived at the crash site decided to rush indoors. At this point, the bizarre and otherworldly nature of the encounter was clear to them, and fear overpowered any desire to investigate further. They reported feeling an intense sense of dread and confusion, prompting them to call the authorities. As rumors swirled, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and other local agencies responded promptly, investigating the event. However, no physical evidence was recovered from the site after a thorough search. The object itself was not found, and there were no traces of the extraterrestrial beings seen by witnesses. The most compelling part of the case, however, came from the security and body camera footage that the family had captured. The video footage, which was leaked online shortly after the incident, showed moments of panic and confusion. At one point, the family members could be heard describing the beings in shocked voices, confirming just how real and unsettling this experience was for them. In fact, watching the video closely, you can tell that they were genuinely terrified by the sight of these creatures, far beyond what anyone might exaggerate for attention. While skeptics quickly dismissed the event, claiming the family may have fabricated the story for media attention or out of confusion, there was something about their reaction that suggested otherwise. There wasn't any apparent ulterior motive driving their claims, at least not one that made sense. Adding to it all was the way the footage was handled by local authorities and the media. When questioned, the police acknowledged the incident, yet seemed less than forthcoming about what they had really discovered. Not just that, but the family was suddenly under surveillance, but no one would explain what was going on to them. Some even suggested the authorities could have discovered something they weren't willing to disclose to the public. What if the incident had simply been more than a UFO sighting, more than just aliens? It could have been a much larger event, hidden in a way no one else would know. 9th Airport Aliens. On November 7, 2006, Chicago's O'Hare International Airport became the center of a UFO sighting that would go down as one of the most baffling and widely witnessed events in aviation history. Just after 4:15 p.m. local time, a group of people, including airport staff, pilots, and random witnesses, found themselves looking up at the sky, not seeing something they could easily explain. What they all described seeing was nothing like any aircraft they were familiar with. A dark gray, disc-shaped object, metallic in appearance, seemingly floating above the airport. Its shape had a clear resemblance to the saucer-like UFOs famously depicted in science fiction. But it was not the design that baffled witnesses. It was the lack of visible propulsion systems, or any sign of conventional flight mechanisms. It just hovered there, in broad daylight, completely defying any known aerodynamic principles. Many witnesses who were either on the ground or within the airport terminals reported seeing this anomaly with clear eyes. Some were outside near the gates, while others had vantage points from planes or the control towers. The most interesting part of it all? The UFO wasn't in a hurry. For several minutes, it simply hovered in one place above the airport, unbothered by the airport's bustling activity beneath it. There was no noise from engines, no telltale propellers spinning, just super quiet as people watched this object without understanding anything about what it was. It didn't stop there. The weirdness intensified when the object suddenly shot straight up into the sky with a speed and power that seemed completely unnatural for an object of its size and shape. Witnesses described the object as disappearing into the clouds at such a high velocity that it left no trace, almost as if it had been plucked out of the atmosphere in an instant. There was no gradual ascent, just a rapid vertical trajectory that no human craft could replicate without causing extreme strain on its structure. The response from the authorities at the time was less than reassuring. The Federal Aviation Administration quickly issued a statement denying any radar anomalies or aircraft reporting any issues in the area at the time, yet the overwhelming number of witnesses, ranging from ordinary travelers to seasoned pilots and airport staff, only fueled the doubt. How could so many credible people be mistaken? After all, we're talking about individuals who deal with aircraft on a daily basis and are more than capable of distinguishing between different types of objects in the sky. Skeptics quickly leaned into the idea of mass confusion, or perhaps an unusual weather phenomenon, but none of these explanations seemed to satisfy those who had seen the strange object. It didn't match anything conventional, and the precision and speed of its departure felt unexplainable in any earthly context. For anyone willing to consider the possibility, there seemed to be one logical conclusion, that what had been seen above O'Hare might not have been from this world at all. As time passed, the incident at O'Hare continued to perplex UFO enthusiasts. A UFO sighting at an airport, especially one with as many independent witnesses, carried significance. It wasn't just another vague sighting. It was an event that stood out because of how many people saw it happen at the same time, under the same strange circumstances. With so many unanswered questions and the lack of clear explanation from aviation authorities, the O'Hare incident remains an open case in the UFO community, one of the most confusing, unexplained encounters over an airport in history. 10th California UFO. In January 2025, California saw a spike in UFO activity, especially around Fresno. For several days, locals reported strange aerial phenomena that caught the attention of the public and authorities. The first sighting happened on January 21st, just after 4 a.m., when a bright light appeared over downtown Fresno. It hovered silently before zipping across the sky, and Fox 26 captured the event on video. Earl Gray Anderson from MUFON reviewed the footage and identified it as a genuine UFO. The next day, Anthony Guevara, a Fox 26 photojournalist, filmed another UFO in broad daylight. This object also moved strangely, gliding silently over the city. Daylight sightings like this are rare, adding to the buzz around the events. On January 24th, a private pilot flying over downtown Fresno reported a white object trailing his plane at 3,500 feet. He radioed the local airport tower, but they couldn't detect anything on radar, and the object vanished moments later. Some speculate the sightings could involve drones or military tests, but many believe these objects are not from this world. With multiple witnesses and video evidence, January 2025 is now the most recent time UFOs were spotted on Earth. But somehow, from ancient Mesopotamia to now, none of the UFOs have ever been confirmed to be real aliens. Or were they? And the real truth has just been covered up with hoaxes so the public wouldn't catch on. Which side do you believe?